on YouTube, live broadcast thing. Speaking of that, I'm starting a new podcast on this channel in a couple of weeks. I just have to set things up. With the royalties from the book, the Hocus Pocus book, which you still should be buying. It's a very good book. I bought myself a decent microphone and mixer, and tidying up the rooms that I do the broadcast from. I want to try and do at least once a week, maybe twice. It'll be like the Rona Chronicles, but indoors. The reason why I'm doing it is because, well, we are going through the Kali Yuga, or we're coming out of it, or something like that. We're definitely going through this kind of historical flux, and I want to do what I did with the Rona Chronicles. I want to like express and talk and dialogue and have the odd guest and everything. That's why I'm doing it indoors. Just basically philosophical insight once maybe twice a week with a small p, and it'll be like the Rona Chronicles. We'll be discussing the changes in the world. It won't be very well, only reason I'm interested in politics is because of the cultural or the mind control or the other elements of it. I find they're fascinating, and you learn a lot from it. And so I hope you'll enjoy me. It'll be free to watch. Some people have suggested I make it you have to pay to see it, but that's not me. It's not me. I don't want to put it behind a paywall. It's I'm just not comfortable about doing that. It's I mean, I have a Patreon if people ever wanted to put a few quid in that. But otherwise, I just wouldn't feel right about putting it behind a paywall. It's just I can't do it. It's not. I don't know. I'd feel shitty about it or something. But I'll just do it on an honor system, and anyone can watch it. And if you want to throw me a few quid, you can throw me a few quid to pay for the constant upgrade. I want to eventually get a really good broadband like Starlink or something, so I can do on live calls and live streaming, direct live streaming, without any kind of problems. But yeah, no, I'm not going to put it behind a paywall. It's just that's not me, and I'm not that like famous or anything. So anyway, but it'll definitely be more professional than this, and much more regular than this. So, as this monumental turn of the tide happens, I hope everybody's keeping well. Yeah, no, this is monumental. It doesn't matter if you don't believe in politics, you don't like, Trump, or it's nothing to do with that. This is a philosophical shift in the human consciousness, and this is part of that flipping over, and it has nothing to do with any political thing or money or capitalism or anything. Like, this is the problem with truthers. They're like lefties that way, is they can't see things outside the in a holistic way. They don't understand that, like, when one thing happens, it changes another thing. This is why I'm not a fatalist. I don't think anything is doomed. Like, if you one time I was standing in Valletta in Malta, and I saw the city walls of the old, where it was the old castle there, to hold back the Ottomans, and the Knights of St. John. And I'm looking at this wall that's like 700 years old, and it's the height of a skyscraper, and it's about 50 feet thick at the bottom. A cute little round there at the bottom, and you it's so funny because that's a metaphor for what I'm going to talk about. The little tiny wren going through the gap in the stones in the wall. Uh, you could say to yourself, like, there's no way an army could breach that. But you could breach that if you were given a small screwdriver and enough time. You would dig a hole. You would and just chip the way. You would get through that massive wall into Valletta on your own. It'd probably take you 50 years, but you'll do it. And if you have another person chipping somewhere else, and another person chipping somewhere else, those three of you will eventually get in. instead of, and depending on who's stronger, who gets on. So this whole thing of like our numbers are small, we're doomed, and never change anything. That's a lot of bollocks. You change this no matter how much the small the number is. If you're steadfast in your heart and you keep at it, and it's literally the death by 1,000 cuts. Cuts will take down the greatest monster. So this nonsense that you've no chance or you're doomed. Get that out of your head. You're not. And I think we saw a lot of that this week. Now they had a chance. Like really, that what happened in America comes down to Joe Rogan, Donald Trump, and Elon Musk. And how did they do it? Well, they're powerful and rich. Joe Rogan has the biggest show in the world. Elon Musk has all the money in the world, and Donald Trump has all the pussy in the world. You know what I mean? He's all the Donald Trump in the world. And that's how they were able to do it. Now, nobody's expecting utopia or anything like that, but we have a shift in the zeitgeist. Now, this has a prevailing aspect in that it allows opportunity. So you'd have like the god awful Irish Republican truthers here, Christian truthers saying, "Oh, don't change anything." No, it provides opportunity though. Everything provides opportunity. So they've already started. Geez, I barely even noticed. There's so much of paid news in Ireland that there's a dissolved parliament here at the Dáil, it's called, and they've started setting up a new general election. And so it's just when you think you've done with it, like the European elections were not that long ago. All the roads are now filled with these pictures, these ugly motherfuckers running for election. Oh, they make you want to puke. The N17 is like a gallery of the ugliest fuckers in Ireland. Vote for me. We're going forward together. Vote McFuckwit for real change. Now look at that. That's the internal Irish. If you could, in a kind of a Picasso sort of like symbolist cubist way, if you wanted to, they make me sick. Cunts make me sick even thinking about them. If you wanted to, like, the way, like, it's sort of like the, Christian Wanu, if you want to do the Irish sort of like version of that, right, but could do it in a kind of a symbolist art way, right, this is what you do, right, imagine this, right. That's the Irish normie. That's what's inside every Irish normie is this. The male, no. I can't do it a female. That's it. I've just, if there was a fucking sphinx made of, like, say if like the Irish normies had a fucking king right now, right? A fucking NPC normie king, right? And his name was like fucking Bertie McFlaherty or something, right? And they got the cunt's face and they put it on a fucking sphinx, the body of a lion. The fucking head wouldn't, the head would be like this. That's what we like. And then the Graham Hancock of 12,000 years in the future would say, I disagree with the scientists that that's an image of a king. That used to be a head of a lion. And no, he'd be wrong. The face has been distorted by erosion. Oh no, that's how the cunt actually looked. Right, so when you travel through the highways and byways of Ireland and see all these posters and billboards, you just look at the faces and think, that's what we're up against, right? They fucking make me. I mean, my stomach was actually turning. I made a lovely loaf of bread during the night, and I had it for breakfast with some with it like a pesto that I had made from olives, and it was fucking beautiful, right? And I said, "Oh, it was lovely. That was lovely." And I'm going down the road, and then it's like, and all these fucking cunts' faces going by like that. Vote. So anyway, yeah. So in America, what's happened is that HR lady has been thrown out. I explained to a gentleman today. He says, "Could you explain to me? You lived in America for years, Thomas. Can you explain to me what happened in America this week?" And I says, "Okay, it's like this, right? The Democratic Party person knocks on the door, right? Hi, I'm Stacy from the Democratic Party. I would like to get your vote for Kamala Harris." And the guy goes, "What are the issues affecting you?" And the poor bastard behind the fucking door goes, "Well, I'm worried about the future. Like many middle class and working class Americans, I'm 2 paychecks away from homelessness. And things have gotten really fucking expensive, and uh, I had to buy new. I bought a new winter coat for the missus and the 2 kids because they needed them for school. But he goes, "I literally don't have the money to buy myself a winter coat. What can you do for me so I'm not 2 weeks away from bankruptcy and homelessness? I can afford groceries and get a winter coat for myself as well as the wife and kids." And the Democratic person replies, "Well, the good news is we're putting male tampons into men's public toilets." And that's how Donald Trump won. That's why Donald Trump won. Because reality, you see, the policies of the Democratic Party in America, coming out of that sort of like metropolitan East Coast, West Coast echo chamber, are products of decadence and no hardship. Now, this is very much still the politics of Ireland. Things are good here, people are making a few bob. So we have all this woke shit in the politics. And so it's still here. But all we need now is for Donald Trump to pull back the entire... See, the entire American biotech industry is here in Ireland. And Ireland stole the biotech industry from the US using tax base. Nothing wrong with it. I mean, not stolen, but they took the biotech industry, right? And so Trump has already said, I saw in one of his speeches, he says, Ireland we're getting creamed by our so-called friendly countries, and one of them is Ireland. They basically stole our biotech industry, and we're going to take it back. Now, then in Ireland, you will have a collapse. And then this decadence of woke suddenly won't work anymore. And, this guy will go, "Where's my fucking winter coat?" And there you go. So, that's what's going on. Now, Kamala Harris is the perfect example of the kind of bitches who worked in... You see, this is a big problem with women today. I'm sorry, Western women are very badly represented in the media. If you look at The View, you have all these wagons, right, talking about their problems, right? And they're going on about it's the end of the world, right? And then you see all these other wagons on TikTok going, "If your husband voted for Trump, you've got to divorce him. If you're a single woman, you've got to tie your tubes and not have a child." I mean, there's not even the remote hint of abortion being bad. Why are they so obsessed with abortion anyway? You can get the pill, and this kind of thing. And it makes Western women look very fucking bad. Western women, and I, believe me, I love Western women. Western women love me. And Western women are very, very badly served by role models and like by what's on by the internet, because it makes all these nut jobs look very powerful, much more. And so a lot of young guys grow up and saying So they look at these women going on, I'm having a sex boycott because of Trump, or I'm, I'm going to tie my tubes, or I'm going to divorce my husband because he voted for Trump. Or then they see The View and they say to themselves, oh, Jesus, I'm not marrying one of them. And that is the tragedy of it, because there's lots of nice women that are being punished by this stuff as well. And the HR lady archetype now is what Kamala Harris was, the corporate HR lady. And you look at these women, and if you're a young guy, you say, there's no way I'm getting married. No way, I don't want a girlfriend. And if I do get a girlfriend and get married, I'm going to go to Asia and get myself one from Cambodia or Thailand or somewhere like that. From Asia. I'm not going to, one just walked by me. From Asia and all this kind of stuff, So, they make women look terrible. Terrible. And, if you watch The View and all the wagons screaming, this vacuous, decadent nonsense, and you often wonder, and women are very fucking, what's the word? Influential of one another. I've noticed that over the years. When one bitch goes mad, they all go mad. Okay, if they're in the bitch sphere. I'm not talking about like healthy women, and they will destroy their lives. A woman will gladly destroy her life for another woman who doesn't give a shit about her. I've seen numerous things in my life where it's that song, it's got to be perfect, and these Western women growing up, that a relationship isn't absolutely perfect, he has to go. And so you have this wagon in the background going, you girlfriend, you got to dump him, he's not doing it for you, you got to leave him. How many women destroyed their lives by walking out, Western women walking out on very happy relationships that were not perfect, because of this whole notion, things like, awful sort of like these horror comedies on TV shows and books, that relationships are always perfect. And if it's not perfect, you leave him. But nothing in life is perfect. How many women were sitting in their old age who were probably with some guy when they were younger, who did really love them, but he wasn't perfect, but he did his best, or the situations were, under the circumstances, it's about all that he could manage, but it's a hell of a lot better and more than what she's dealing with now. Complete social isolation, because some wagon around her, or some bitch says, girlfriend, you gotta bunch him, you gotta dump him, girlfriend, this kind of fucking crap. Now I think a lot of Western women have finally figured out. They looked at Kamala Harris and, she's like the bitch who told me to dump that guy that was with about 10 years ago. That was a really good guy, and I really liked him. And because he wasn't committed, or didn't want to get married, or wasn't bringing home enough money, or not paying me enough attention, she somehow convinced me to dump him. And it was the biggest mistake in my life, because I had more happiness in the compromised, or, not ideal situation with him than I've ever had ever since. Searching for Mr. Perfect. And they looked at Kamala Harris, and she's one of those women that would do that. They saw the kind of woman, or a woman who might have been married, and then they had kids, and then suddenly the love she was getting from the husband, she's now getting from the kids. So she doesn't need him anymore. And so a friend saying, you get rid of him, girlfriend. And so she dumps him. And then she's miserable for the rest of her life. And she's ruined his life as well. Well, I think Western women have finally figured out, looking at Kamala Harris, that she's the kind of woman that made it very difficult for all Western women, even the good ones. Because she has, all you have to do is, if you think of Kamala Harris as a dark god, right? A dark god. Her demon servitors would be like the women on The View. The women on making YouTube and TikTok videos saying, you got to leave your husband if he voted for Trump. And they look at her and they say, she's women like her are the reason why good women like me aren't allowed to live our lives on our terms because everything has to be perfect. Ladies, am I right? Am I right? How many women will often tell you that, like, I was a very smart woman, but I made very poor decisions that caused me a lot of unhappiness and overcomplication. And why I did it was I had all these people around me saying, you should dump him and go for him instead. This kind of thing. And I did it. And all I did was create problems that I didn't have. Because so Kamala Harris be one of those, you go girlfriend, you get rid of him, you get it, and all this kind of stuff. Because I think what we're seeing is they looked at her and they saw, and they got all those women nearly all work in HR departments. They'd be kind of the HR department archetype. And so they looked at her and said, you know what? I would rather have a happiness, fleeting moments of happiness or short-term happiness in the company of a kind, loving man than the perfect fairy tale existence that these people tell me I deserve. It's got to be perfect. You know, everyone has to choose a second best, but I don't want anyone else. It's got to be perfect. Now, that's a woman thing. How many men write songs going, I'm going to get me the best looking pussy with all the money that's out there? How many men go around like that? And if you did go around like that, you go, he's a fucking loser. But women do it all the time. It's got to be. And then she's sitting there in the fucking hospice with no one to hold her hand at the end, right? Going, and then Fairground Attraction comes on the radio. It's got to be perfect. And she's looking at her life going, but it was perfect with that guy that I dumped when I was 25. Because it was all the perfection that I could have be available to at the time. And if it wasn't surrounded by Stacy and, you know, all these other bitches telling me to dump him, I'd probably be still having that happiness, that it wasn't perfect, but it was something, and something is better than nothing. And the Kamala Harris represents that archetype, and then it filters down through all the wagons on the tube, and not the tube, the View, and all these other women, bitches and their problems, you know, and they're all decadent first world problems. And they looked at her and they go, no, I don't want idealism anymore. I don't want women like... This is what happens, a threshold moment. And women saying, I don't want women like you telling me anymore that I deserve perfection. I deserve the perfect man, the perfect life, or I deserve perfect independence. I will manage my own life, thank you very much. And you strong, independent women have made life miserable for many women who are just be happy. Who just wanted to be happy and left alone, or were contented with what they had before interference came in. Like, I know so many women who, it's quite frightening actually, who were with a fella and their girlfriend made a point of pushing her away from the fella she was with and towards some other guy for all kinds of agendas. Maybe she wanted the other guy for herself, or other things, you know. But just to control her girlfriend, and pushed her towards this other guy. And then suddenly she's left in a whole shitload of heap of problems that wouldn't have existed if she had left things the way they were. And that's what Kamala Harris was. Kamala Harris was that archetype. You know, someone who was just a meddler, a shit stirrer, a problem maker. And who was she the number one problem maker and shit stirrer for? Women like her archetype. Decent women, decent, good women. So ironically, they were talking about America isn't ready for a woman president. That's why you voted for Trump, you racist. No, America's ready for a woman president when a good woman arrives. Nobody wanted the hoe-in-chief. See you soon. Love yous all. It's